Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single-barrel-only liquor store. This store is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Get signed up for their email distribution list to find out when the store will be opening, what their hours will be, and most importantly, what they will have in inventory at abvbarrelshop.com. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebartogo.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we talk about some of the things that surprise us that people don't know about bourbon. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Tim Swyatt, Katie Joyce, and Lenny Eckstein.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, guys.
Hi there.
Hey, so yeah, we've got a fun show today. We're going to be talking about things that people don't know about bourbon, things that just continue to surprise us as bourbon fans. We'll get to that after the break. For right now, McNew said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that?
Yeah, so this might just be a me thing, but if you guys are going to dinner, would you be interested in going to a place that didn't have a bar or didn't serve cocktails? Like, we were trying to figure out dinner tonight, and my husband's like, let's go to this diner, which they do have good food, but I'm like, that's like for lunch or breakfast because they don't have cocktails. I'm like, without cocktails, what the hell?
You can't even get beer?
No, like they don't have a liquor license. It's like a little grandma shop. They have real good food.
No, that's breakfast or lunch on a weekday only. That's you don't even go there for breakfast on a Saturday. Like,
yeah. Okay, Katie, I'm not insane. My husband looked at me like I had 5 heads. I'm like, they don't have cocktails. I'm not interested. Not going.
Really?
Yeah.
It depends on the food, though. Like, if it was
diner food.
If it was
really a cocktail needed with that.
I don't know. If it was,
to get a cocktail. I don't care about eating.
Talking over Lenny.
Really?
Sorry.
I just feel like if it's just basic food, then absolutely, McNew, I'm on board with you. Absolutely not. Like, you can get basic ass food anywhere. But if there's something about the food that's so worthwhile, and they don't happen to have alcohol, I would go there. I don't know.
Stand behind that.
Yeah.
It's like grandma's meatloaf. It's not like a taco truck that's a banging taco truck. It's like,
I mean, they could be serving free pours of Pappy, and I wouldn't go there if it was meatloaf. That sounds terrible.
I love meatloaf.
Not Lenny. He's a vegan.
Not a vegan.
Oh, God.
Pescatarian, maybe?
Exasperated comment.
Yeah, he almost killed me. Lenny almost killed me there. That would have been on him. I disagree with McNew. To me, the cocktails and all that don't make a difference to me. You go to a cool diner that's got great food, take me there, and then I'll drink as much as I want when I get home. I've got so much here, the ability to make cocktails or just drink whiskey neat. It's all right here, and guess what? You can't say it's free when you're pouring your own stuff, but it feels like it's free, right? You've already paid for it. It's gone. You come home, it's like, why would I pay $8 or $10 or $15 for a cocktail there when I can have it free at home?
But what do you drink if not a cocktail or a beer? What are you going to order?
I drink water. I drink water with everything. So I only drink water, coffee, and bourbon. That's about it, really.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's it.
I'm on that program.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, there are many times I could have dinner and not have to have a beer. I'd like to pledge I'm not an alcoholic. I can have dinner.
I don't think so. But here we go. Here comes the but.
But an establishment that doesn't have a liquor license, I don't think, unless they are specialized in some kind of unique food thing, I'm just not going to go there for dinner.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like, I am 100% not interested in having dinner there. I'm like, I worked, I want a cocktail, I want somebody to make it for me that can make it better than I can make it myself. Like,
Okay.
I don't care about the food. I'm like, I might just get some
I
fries.
don't care about the
I
food.
want a cocktail for dinner.
Oh, what do you think, Tim?
I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm kind of chuckling because I think there's 3 of us here on here that have actually. Well, some of us have kids, but some have actually raised them from the beginning and everything like that. So when Chuck E. Cheese was serving beer, that was a good thing, but that ended up being bad. And then they shut down Chuck E. Cheese because of all the beer that was and the fights breaking out over time. I will absolutely go to a place for good food because knowing I'm dragging my kids with me, but now that they're getting older and I don't have to carry them around and I could leave them at home to fend for themselves and throw a bowl of cereal in the middle of the floor and say, deal with it. I would say that I am stretching out that if I do go out to dinner, I would order a cocktail now, but it's not natural. Steve, I'm with you. I'd rather come home. I feel like I'm paying cost. That's why I won't go to a lot of sporting events either. You know, I've lived in Chicago my entire life. I've been to one Bears game. And they're like, well, why? Because I got better seats in my house to watch terrible football. And beer's cheaper too. So I'm with you. I could get it, but it all depends. When I'm dragging and schlepping kids around, sometimes I just want to get the food and get the hell out of there and go get hammered at home.
Yeah.
My
I agree.
big thing, like, you don't have to have cocktails necessarily, because I'm in small town Missouri, so I don't trust really anywhere with cocktails. I'll make them at home. But like draft beer, like I'm not gonna have. I don't yet have beer on tap at my house. So
Really?
like it's
That's
really
weird.
nice to go out and just get a draft beer that, or to open the
Quarter
bottle.
drafts, quarter drafts and dollar burger baskets. I'm all for it. Let's go.
See? Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
but hey,
It's
Yeah.
just nice. I think it just adds to the experience. I'm like, if we're just getting food, like, I might as well just go through a damn drive-through. Like, I don't want to sit down just to eat food. I want drinks too.
Like even at lunch today, like it was a rough court day. I had a margarita with lunch at Applebee's with my friends. They were talking about
The apple,
There's a lot to unpack there.
The Applebee's.
like, and it was fun. So I was with 2 juvenile officers, and they were like, "I'm really jealous right now because we're like by like the rules of our office, not allowed to drink while we're working." And I was
Makes
like,
sense,
"That
yeah.
sucks. You should try private practice where I am my own boss and I say I can drink."
Yeah. So,
I
yeah.
say I do package my own and bring my own if I need to. So
Yes.
you can plan and work your way around
There
that
you go,
if
McNew.
you are
That
intelligent about it and smart about it.
This is
Little ingenuity.
true.
Yes.
I
They've got
also-
bracelets that are flasks
just
for
bring
the
some
ladies.
makers and then just order just a Diet Coke and just fill it on your
Yeah.
own.
This is true, but also like it was just my husband and I. He didn't have his kid, so I'm like, I feel like if I'm going to a diner,
Your stepson?
that doesn't
That's a
have
date,
alcohol,
though. That's different.
it's going to
That's
be
a
other
date.
people's
You know?
children. And I want to avoid them. So, like, please take me to somewhere with a bar where there will be less of those. I
That's
don't
a
want to see
very valid point.
Yeah. Very valid. Yeah. So there you go. Well, all right.
one.
Well, guess what, gang? We drink on this show. We our policy is yes. So we drink. So what is everyone drinking? We're starting with Tim. Tim, what do you got?
I'm enjoying. I'm going to keep on going down this Colorado path. I've got an Old Elk blended straight bourbon whiskey. Just think I popped the cork and it was amazing. It's worth it. Oh my gosh, that was an amazing cork pop, Tim. Thank you.
He's not even trying because he makes no noise. So all right.
No noise, nothing. Not even trying.
There
There
you
we
go.
go.
There you go.
Yep.
It was good. It was good. Katie, how about you? What do you got?
I have some Widow Jane 10-year.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
that was all desk and no pop.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there was some pop there. There was some pop there.
Pop.
Yeah.
It's gonna beat mine.
Yeah. I've got
No,
the
you-
Pacific Flyway here. Pacific Flyway. All right. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Now, what do you think, McNew? Me or Katie?
I Katie for that one, honestly.
Okay. You have to live with it. No matter how wrong you think it is, when you ask a judge, you have to live with their decision.
I may
So-
have bribed the judge, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Check your Venmo, McNew. It's just a little bit happier now.
We have to have a bar for dinner. Katie wins.
Okay. All right. Lenny, you're next.
I got some Russell's 10.
I think it's Lenny in that wind tunnel that we hear.
Oh, I'll shut my heater off. It's cold up here.
A heater.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, that was it.
It sounded like a whole fan.
Okay. Wow, that
good
helped
pop.
him. Yeah, that was a
I
good
shut
pop.
the heater off.
Oh, did you turn your filter down to low though? You can
I
turn
sure
it back
did.
up to medium, and then turn your heater back on.
Oh,
Oh. I will work on that strategy next round. But in the meantime, I'll take my win.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. He got the win there.
You
I
turn
think.
to low for the pop and then back up to medium for the rest of the show.
Okay, back to medium.
All right, McNew, you're last but not least. Lenny's got the lead. He's pretty confident.
Yeah, I think he's going to keep it. I have some Cooper's Craft.
Wow, that was a nice base, but Lenny's was clearly better.
You
So
squeak with it too.
No,
Yes.
It was.
no. Cheers, gang.
Cheers, folks.
All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about what are you surprised people don't know about bourbon. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot in the greater St. Louis area. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only focuses on single barrels. We aren't open just yet, but our plan is to have the most diverse single barrel offerings from our many friends in the world of bourbon. By signing up for a weekly email, you will know our entire inventory we have on hand. In addition to single barrels, we'll have a tasting bar and a gift shop featuring logo merchandise for both the shop and the ABV network, as well as a full curriculum of bourbon education classes. Additionally, we'll use the gift shop to feature products from our partners in the world of bourbon, companies like Art Eatable Chocolates and Old Man Bay Signs. Head over to ABV Barrel Shop to sign up for our email and text distribution list so you can stay in the know. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent visits to Kentucky. Today, he's leading the way for young distillers making their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery combines family history, a look at what makes their products unique, and of course, a tasting through their whiskeys, moonshines, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com and visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
Hi, this is Mr. Bill. You're listening to Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about what surprises us that people don't know about bourbon.
Yes, we are. Before we get to our topic of the day, I've got a question for Tim. Tim, this picture of marinated Lenny. Now, this was taken on a video Dave Ewald shot, and I did a screen grab of it, and then I turned it into a magnet and a JPEG and stuff like that. But anytime that's brought up, Dave Ewald's always says Tim Swyatt started that. How did that get started? I don't understand. How did I lose possession of my work here?
You totally took care of it, because I took that screenshot. We were at a virtual bourbon event that we were at, and I think I put it up as a virtual background. And then I sent it to everybody, or everybody snapped it, and we had the whole. Was it a flagship whiskey?
Is that how you get credit for?
I must get credit for it because I multiplied it and made it go viral.
I mean,
yes.
I mean, Dave shot the video, so in reality, he's the true artist there. But
yes,
the eye to realize what was going on there, and Lenny's happy drunken face,
yes.
That's what's the genius of that. So yes, yeah. So all right,
yeah. That was yes. You are the genius. I'm the one. That must be my producing ability to market.
You're the distributor. Yeah,
yes.
You got it out
yes.
there for sure. All right, things. That's something we were surprised that people didn't know that I actually was the person behind that. But what about bourbon? What are you guys surprised that people don't know about bourbon to this day? As popular as it is, and of course, we kind of live in that bourbon world, so we think everybody should know everything, but they don't. Most of the population doesn't know a whole lot. So, McNew, what's something you think that they should know, but they don't?
So most of the time I'm just like, people's opinions are their opinions, but the people who are like, it can only be made in Kentucky, I'm like, please find the nearest cliff and jump off of it. These people drive me.
That's still a thing. I know. You would think it wouldn't be.
You have the same access to Google as the rest of us. figure it out. Like, it can be made in the United States. That's literally a law made by Congress. It's a law. United States. That is more than Kentucky. Stop saying it can only be made.
I have one question, one follow-up to you, McNew, about that. What about the people who say that and you think that you're correcting them, but then they're like, no, only good bourbon can be made in Kentucky.
Like,
Lenny's got to be curious about that. But there are people that will say that. Yeah.
They're insufferable. I can't stand it.
They're also idiots because, yes, there's great bourbon being made everywhere. Like our friend Lenny here. I mean, yeah, that's to me, that's even maybe worse than just not even knowing the rules because they're just not educated.
Honestly,
They've got an opinion.
It's
just wrong.
Being arrogant for no reason and being that proud to be wrong. I'm like, yeah.
Here's something I'm surprised people don't know. I'm surprised about McNew's, and that's still a thing. But here's something I'm surprised people don't know, that you really can't buy Pappy unless you owe someone, you're willing to pay a crazy price. You know, you introduce yourself to someone and somebody will be like, oh, he's a bourbon guy. Ask him anything. And they'll be like, where can I get Pappy? Do you have $4,000? Then we'll get you a bottle if you like it. It's not anything. There's no real secret way to get it. There's just no one's getting it unless they're paying crazy prices or winning it in a lottery type of thing. That's it. But
Steve, to piggyback on that, though, I would say something that I think a lot of folks don't know is not just that you don't need to buy that bottle, because obviously they want the prestige that goes with it.
Right.
But that you can walk into any goddamn liquor store in the crappiest strip mall and find a great bottle. You're almost never not going to find a great bottle.
Yeah.
Yep.
For $30 to $40.
Yeah. But you just can't convince them because that's all they've heard about. They hear people talking about that and they're like, how do you get
that's a layer though? Like that's the, let's call it that. Those are the bottom dwellers of bourbon. But then there's a whole like upper echelon of, bourbon enthusiasts. And there's a whole nother level of things that blow me away that they don't know or that they latch onto and think they know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard one recently. I heard folks talking about, sometimes people are down on finishing barrels for bourbon. I get how contentious it is because bourbon is so regulated, but I heard a statement that, finishing a bourbon in like, a port or sherry barrel, that's akin to just like trying to fix a young bourbon. And what always got me was that, way before bourbon was a thing, those barrels were what all the other countries aged whiskey in. They didn't have charred new oak, and they certainly weren't mandating that.
Right.
That's what everything went in. That's the long tradition.
Yeah. Yeah. What else are we surprised people don't know?
So I have one. You brought the finishing barrel one. So if you read the label, what I don't like is the, Kentucky straight bourbon finished in X wine barrel.
Yeah.
And it's a little misleading. Say, oh, that's bourbon. Then you don't want to correct people on that because that could be missed. That's great marketing and liberal use of the label, right? I do think what I find interesting is charred oak container versus charred oak barrel. When you say charred oak containers, some folks are get bold and they're like, no way. You look at it up, you're like, yeah, you could take a new oak bucket, charred with fire, and throw new make whiskey with 51% core meeting the requirements, and that could be bourbon. They're like, no way, it can't be. It's got to be aged. It's got to be an age statement or this, that, or the other. And I find that to be a very interesting education point without sounding too pretentious to correct some of that misconception. To just have a conversation about to understand and be a more educated consumer on that label and what that looks like, what the word bourbon really means.
Yeah.
And speaking of labels, the people that see Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and cannot piece together that is NPC. Baby,
Right.
this is not made in Kentucky. This is Indiana. A lot of your favorite labels might be made in Indiana, and people have no idea. And people who have been into bourbon, who collect bourbon, like some of them have no damn idea how many things come out of that plant.
Yeah. How many times have you seen on a menu, again, not at your favorite bourbon bar, but, at a bar that gives you some sort of spirits list, and then they list bourbon, and it's got like Crown Royal on there.
Yes.
I mean, you see that a lot.
Yes.
You see that a lot.
Yes,
Yeah,
they list, and I'm like, just say whiskey and put it on there. Like, why are you
whiskey's
saying
fine.
bourbon and then immediately like Crown Royal and Jack Daniels? And I'm like, no.
At least with the Jack Daniels, you've got an argument. With the Crown, there's no argument. There's no argument.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, at least You can just say Jack Daniels is being more pretentious. It doesn't want to be bourbon, but
Right.
like
But
I see,
there's no way around
Crown,
it with Crown. There's no,
especially.
but it's on there a lot. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Crown listed as part of the bourbon.
that was on my list of when you say people like, oh yeah, I like bourbon, and they immediately say something that's not bourbon. And
Right.
Crown is like the perfect example. I was like, not bourbon, but okay, yeah.
You get people that even think like Screwball is bourbon. They're like, I
Oh
got
my
it in the bourbon
God.
aisle. It says right on the bourbon shelf next to. It's near Wild Turkey 101. No, they just put it
Yep.
there because they want something.
Those
that
are the
appeals to
people who also ask me, they're like, is bourbon whiskey? And I'm like, oh, here we go. And so,
Let's sit down.
and then the same as I'm like, oh, I really enjoy bourbon. And they're like, oh, I love Screwball. And I'm like, I want to stop talking to you, go drink vodka and shut the
Right.
fuck up. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go to like, although no, like I want people to like enjoy it and learn. And so I support it. But at the same time, I'm just like smacking my hand against my forehead. Like, no, you're so far off. Like,
Yeah.
Katie,
It's go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead, Mika. Yeah. I was going to say, you make up a great point. You want to get people cross-eyed is when you say all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. And they're
Yeah.
they start short-circuiting a little bit.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, let me go down that road with you a little here. Let's talk about this.
Bourbon is the square, whiskey is the rectangle. Let's go back to geometry days.
Or yeah. Or the people that are like, it's only 2 years old, it's only 3 years old. And I'm just like, well, you know what?
Right.
Stuff needs to be 15 years old because it's bullshit. It's disgusting. It needs to hang out that long to be less gross. When you put good in, you get good out. Like bourbon doesn't need to be that old. Like,
Right.
You
Yep.
bring up a good point, McNew. Like, I think about age statements a lot, and what even folks who are super ingrained think of as age statements. Something that gets me all the time. If for bourbon, if it's not at least 4 years old, you have to have a statement of age on there, and it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be like a big number 3 on the label, but it has to say it. And if it doesn't say it, that's insinuating that the product is over 4 years old.
Right.
But, so, their bourbon or broader whiskey, they get away with sometimes putting a number on the label, a 12.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily an age statement.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing that I still can't believe that people believe is to believe every story that's told by distilleries and stuff. There are plenty of stories
Right.
that aren't true, and whether they're trying to hide the fact that they don't distill or trying to share some sort of family history or stuff like that. And this goes from small craft brands to some of the biggest brands in the world. Tell stories about their stuff, and not all of it's true. So you got to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. It just depends on who you're dealing with. Yeah.
There's a small distillery near Castle and Keyan and Woodford Reserve that has a nice little story on their bottle of vodka about Commodore Soti, which is Tito spelled backwards, and it's a story of a Commodore that has a family. He started distilling 20 or 60 years ago with a family recipe from over 100 years ago, and like the math doesn't work out with everything like that. And he's also a Commodore in the Romanian Army, or the Romanian Navy. I'm sorry, the Romanian Navy, which is a landlocked nation. So they actually have. They actually have like flags on there. They put a map up there saying, no, this is not a real story. This is not a real recipe. What we're showing is that the story on the back of the bottle can be completely different than what's in the bottle. What's the minimum we can get away with? And you start reading some of this stuff from across the board. It's very entertaining.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Tim, and that's a good point. It brings up those damn earthen barrels, like all the stories behind the earthen barrels, and people still get excited about them. And it's like, but why?
Yeah. Yeah. And another one that's hard to believe that people don't know about is how many times have you seen people that are at a newer distillery, 1 or 2 years old, and they're like, you got to try this. It's a 5-year-old whiskey, or it's an 8-year-old whiskey. And we're like, okay, well, how old is that place? Well, they opened 2 years ago. Well, they didn't make that, but they don't know that for some reason, they still think that this 2-year-old distillery somehow made this 8-year-old whiskey, which is weird to me. I don't know how they can't do the simple math even. I'm not sure.
Math is hard.
Yeah.
Math is hard. We'll start going on the tours, and I have to fight this all the time because you go on so many tours, you can pretty much repeat what they're going to say. Especially if you've been back a couple times, the jokes and everything. It's like I keep on reminding myself, don't be that guy to take the tour guide's thunder away and the spotlight can't be taken away from you. And you see people really trying to learn. And, and what I think is interesting though, more about this whole, because we're going to talk about this, I think in another episode, is, I don't know if we're that snobby yet, but we can be. We're very, very close. We're at that tipping point where if you ask a stupid question, you get fried in the audience.
Oh yeah.
We're real close to that, I think. And that needs to stop. We cannot be those people.
This is true.
We cannot be that way, because if somebody's asking, well, look at all the bottled and bond labels. The bottled and bond labels tend to be older looking labels, which tends to be, I don't want to buy those. How many people shy away from bottled and bond because they don't understand what it is? And they'll rather buy a 4-year-old whiskey with an age statement on it at 87 proof.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, know what you're buying. But yeah, there's some things that are there. I think we're on a good spot, but I think we touched on a lot of these. But it is impressive to see where the knowledge is at and how much misconception is done by the marketing departments that are out there.
Yeah, they certainly do. Well, there you go. There's some things that we think are, hard to believe that they are wrong in bourbon. Lenny, what's the number one thing that you hear on tours, not from your team, but from customers saying wrong before we end this episode?
Sweet mash is better than sour mash.
Oh,
right?
dude.
Oh, God, don't get them started. Oh, please.
I don't hear that, but yeah, I made a point not to bring that one up. Maybe not a bourbon one per se, but it kind of laps into it. And I might be on my own on this one, but we get a lot of people that come in that are like super enthused to be at Deer Hammer and hear about our tour and hearing about our bourbon, our corn whiskey, and our rye, and even our American single malt. But then they go off in this direction and say, yep, your single malt stuff. They'll talk about Scotch and say, I can't drink Scotch. It's too smoky. And even that, I think, like, I get it. Stuff out of Islay oftentimes is super peat smoked, but there's a lot of Scotch that's not. I would venture to say, like, the majority has so little peat smoked malt that you wouldn't detect if you know it. Now, that's not making an argument that they should drink Scotch, but I think that's an interesting one. It's such a ingrained thing, like no Scotch, smoky. We get that all the time. As I'm pouring them our hickory smoked whiskey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying, Katie?
I had that conversation just today. So a local friend texted me asking, they wanted to get a bottle of Scotch for someone. And so they texted me asking for a suggestion and gave me their price range. And so immediately I was like, okay, here are the ones that's not overly peated that are good mid-range. It doesn't matter like what level they are. I think they'll appreciate it. It's got just the right amount. And so it's great to have that, because some people get like, one of the first Scotches I had was Lefroy, and immediately I was like, who the F is drinking this? No, after like 4 pours, I was like, this shit's great. But that's an excellent point. That I was like, okay, the peat right there, you want just the right touch where like you're enjoying it, but you don't want it over much until you're, really wanting that smokiness. But I absolutely agree.
When do you think it's going to happen? Like when they invented cars, people riding around on horses eventually just went away. When they invented the ability to record things, just in the cloud, no longer did people have VCRs. At what point do we just say, Scotch, we don't need it anymore? We've invented bourbon.
God.
It's a superior product. When do we need to be done with the Scotch thing?
Well, if you want an impressive age statement, stick with Scotch. But if you don't care about something being 32 years old, then bourbon's the way to go.
Yeah. I was driving across the parking lot yesterday, heading in. I won at the Total Wine. I got a ability to buy a Blanton's, which someone said online, which I thought was funny. It was like winning a $2 in a $5 scratch off. So I got a Blanton's, but I still wanted to get it and pick it up. So I get there and I'm driving there and a guy cuts me off. And it's like an old white dude in a suit. And it looks like he's just getting off work. And I'm like, I bet you I know where he's going to go in that store. And sure enough, there he gets in front of me and I just follow him. And we're both going to the whiskey aisle. He stops at the Scotch. And I was like, there you go. There's your 70-year-old Scotch drinker. That's who's drinking that stuff. Eventually, your VCR, my friend, is no longer going to be of use, and neither is your Scotch.
Old
Steve,
Steve.
I'll counterpoint you all day long. It's somebody who does blind tastings. I have so many people. I can't stand scotch, and I throw a non-peated scotch for $49.99, and they're like, wow, that's like candied apples. That's something I've never had before. It all depends on what's going on, what you're mixing it with. I do agree. Yeah, Katie, you're right. If you like the taste of Band-Aids and menthol and tobacco, then there's your Lafroig, your Ardbeg, your Lagavulin. I'll take it all.
It's like a
give it up. I'll
mermaid
take
with
it.
the back of a fireplace. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Tim, you could make arguments that the VCR is superior than being able to record in the cloud. There's probably something. You carry it with you. You move. You've got it with you on the air.
Rewinding is just an experience on its own.
Yeah.
Of rewinding.
Horses are better than cars because horses are nice. Your car is just a machine. It's no good. I get you can. There are arguments that can be made that I don't even have an ability to refute it, but that doesn't mean overall it is better. It is not.
I'm not saying it's better.
Bourbon
It has
is
its
champion.
place.
But you're not always there for
tangent.
efficiency. You're there for the experience.
What if in Scotland they got wise and started using charred new oak?
They won't. We had this
They
argument.
did, you're right, but
Why aren't they? Why isn't someone over there doing that?
Well,
They do.
yeah,
Some
but not
do.
very commonly. Yeah.
No,
But I
very
think
true.
that's
But
the
it's still
secret
about one.
weapon.
It's still about 1 grain.
Yeah,
It's still about 1 grain.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that we should just be glad somebody's willing to buy our used barrels we can no longer use. It's them or the wine industry.
Yeah.
Send them over there. It's fine.
I'm over there. No.
We can only
the
have so
sloppy
many
seconds,
barrels
right?
as like end tables and decoration in our home.
Exactly.
Someone else to buy them.
They do prove a function. They have a reason. They buy our used barrels.
Barrels are weird. There's times when, again, my friends in the craft have as many barrels as they want. And then there's other times when you can't get a barrel. Right now, I need some barrels. I can't get any. We're trying to build a bar and stuff like that. I'm calling my buddies and they're like, we don't have any. We don't have any. Nobody's got any. I don't understand.
Well,
Then
I mean,
there's other
Lenny
times
has
they're
them
like,
as decoration in his confession room.
I
here,
got to drive out to Lenny's, I think.
I got 2 in front of my house that I use as planters.
barrels or traffic cones.
Yeah, traffic cones.
My traffic cone got painted black to be a witch's hat for Halloween. It's no
Oh, that's
longer
cute.
orange.
I like
Yeah.
it.
All right. Well, there you go. That was us taking a look at.
We got so off topic.
Yeah, we did get off topic. And I've offended people who drink scotch. But
You're probably not listening
God
to us
bless you.
anyway.
God bless you. Yeah, someone's got to like it. So there you go. It's like my mom. She'll sit there and say, "Boy, that car is so ugly. If I was buying one, I would buy it because I know no one else would buy that car." And I'm like, "Mom, why would you buy a burnt orange car? Because you know it's ugly." And she's like, "Well, no one else will. They're making it. I don't want them to get upset that no one's buying it." I'm like, why would you drive around a car that looks like earwax just so you're making someone at the car factory feel good?
Oh my God.
They'll come up with a new color, Mom. Don't help it.
Earwax.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Tim, where can people find you?
You will continue to find me being kind and rewinding all of my VHS tapes and drinking scotch, as well as the private tasting events page at abvnetwork.com and at SwyGuy2112 enjoying scotch.
All right, Katie, how about you?
You can find me judging you for what you don't know about bourbon over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right, Lenny.
You can find me and the rest of Deerhammer on social media at Deerhammer, on the web at deerhammer.com. You can also order our whiskey shipped direct to your door, and you can come visit us in beautiful Buena Vista, Colorado.
All right, McNew.
I am on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. And also check out abvbarrelshop.com, where you can sign up to be on our email or text distribution list. And you'll know what we have in the shop. So check us out. Again, abvbarrelshop.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's upcoming Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.